and welcome everyone to episode 20 of Paperboy Ventures. I'm Carly and I'm a friend of Kyle's from our Red Bull days, but today, and more importantly, we're joined by Michelle, the CEO and co-founder of Elavi, and I have been a follower since your protein bar days. I'm a lover of the cashew butter and now the brownies, and I'm really excited to chat to you today and dig deeper into your story, your journey, what's in store for the future. I mentioned this earlier to you, but I am a new mum with a sweet tooth, whether I like it or not. So thank you for making delicious, better for me products. I really appreciate it. And welcome to the pod, Michelle. We're really excited to have you here today.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited.
We have a lot of juicy topics to dig into. So with that, before we get into, the meat of it, what is the elevator pitch for Elavi for someone who's maybe not as familiar with your brand and your products?
Elavi is a next-gen food company on a mission to help people cut sugar, get more protein, and satisfy their sweet tooth. We have a line of permissible indulgent products that include high-protein, low-sugar brownies and dessert cashew spreads, kind of like a healthier alternative to Nutella. We have gone viral on TikTok. We're sold in major retailers like Costco, Central Market, and many more in the pipeline that I'm excited to share very soon. We are an Amazon top seller and just really excited to be building alongside my best friend and co-founder, Nikki Elliott, who I met teaching fitness classes. That's a fun fact. We both had, corporate background. She worked in finance at PwC. She's a CPA. And I had a background in sales and marketing. I was at Sephora most recently prior to starting Elavi on the innovation team, where I really fell in love with consumer products and brand and the clean beauty side. And really, as consumers, as product innovators, we saw this white space and gap in the market for products that can serve consumers in really meeting those health goals. Especially as part-time fitness instructors, we got to witness that firsthand, the struggle of consumers taking it to the next level beyond fitness and into nutrition, which is really 80% of your health. And we knew that we were the best equipped to do this with both our professional backgrounds, our strong pulse on the consumer, and obviously the wellness expertise we bring as industry pioneers. And so, we're so excited at this really exciting stage of our business. We're about 4.5, 5 years in. We've pivoted a lot. We've learned a lot. We surround ourselves with amazing people to help us get here, and even more excited for this next stage of our growth.
Wow, thank you. Even when you put it together like that, there is so much to unpack, and that is what we will do today. But in a nutshell, better for you. What did you say? The permissible indulgence.
Yeah.
I think that's a booming, potentially booming category, and this idea of low sugar, higher protein, I think is really, really smart. And it is what people want these days. So you are in the right space. And I think that it's great that you have a partner who complementary skill set where you can really build this together. So it's quite a journey in just 5 years you've been on. So to that end, I think a fun fact that the brand name is a combination of both your last names. Yeah.
My co-founder and I's last names put together. It's kind of this play on the word elevate, which is how we want our consumers to feel using elevated premium ingredients. We really wanted to stand for premium doesn't have to be inaccessible. Eating clean, healthy ingredients can be for the masses. And we've definitely proven that with our, Costco distribution.
Yes.
And it's this homage to this extension of us. And when you look at brands that are winning today, it's founder forward. There's a human quality to the brand. And we've definitely leaned into that. We put ourselves in front of the content, in front of the website. And consumers now more than ever want that trust, that authenticity, that integrity behind the brand. And that's been a very intentional play on our end. And I would argue a competitive advantage that we're not this nameless, faceless brand. The product is an extension of our names. That's, the most, compelling reason for our consumers to trust and support us even more is that there's a heart and a soul to this company.
Yeah, and you see that come through on all of your social channels, which I agree is definitely something very unique to you. And as soon as you go to Elavi's channels, you see both of you come through and it makes you fall in love with the brand even more. So I think that's really, really smart. So taking it back to the beginning, 5 years ago or so, you came into this with some amazing experience, from the likes of Equinox, Eventbrite, Sephora, household names I think we would all know, but not necessarily CPG. So tell us about those early days and how your initial product came to be, and then how, you made some choices, shall we say, from there on with your product range.
Yeah. What I think is actually great looking back and reflecting on my journey is that everything culminated and built perfectly to lead me to this point. My background was in sales and marketing, e-commerce, CPG in terms of, from a Sephora standpoint and looking at beauty products. Everything really culminated to rounding out my skill set so that I could be that Jill of all trades in which is required in a startup. You have to really wear a ton of hats and not be afraid to build your website one day on Shopify and then answer customer support and build a brand and show up online and develop products and understand the consumer. And the fact that my background was so varied and, spanning across different industries really did allow me to jump into a startup with a little bit more comfort in that there's a lot of moving pieces. There's a lot of different areas that I'm going to have to adapt to. And my co-founder as well, she came in with a very strong finance background, which helped fill in that gap that I didn't have that professional background in. And so, together we were able to bring in this professional lens of really everything we learned in our careers up until this point of what to do, what not to do, just business structures. And it was also a good thing that I wasn't in traditional CPG because it allowed me to think bigger, to think outside of the box, to think from a lens of the consumer, which is often what CPG doesn't get to do. They have to kind of think by a certain framework and structure. So it's almost a superpower and advantage that I didn't know what I didn't know because I was able to dive in head first and not know what was next. I think if I know what I know now, I don't know. It's CPG is just such a crazy, wild industry, and it was almost a benefit that I didn't fully know everything because I was able to come at it with a lens of just thinking about things so differently. And the product line that we launched with is no longer in market. And I think that's a strong testament, and any founders listening to this too, that where you started doesn't have to necessarily be where you end up. And it speaks very highly of my co-founder and I's ability to adapt, to pivot, to take feedback, to not carry ego or shame if something doesn't work out or something doesn't land the right way. We saw our first 2 years as kind of like our MBA. We put in our MBA savings into starting Elavi. So that's how we viewed it of, okay, how can we really get fully immersed into this category industry, learn extremely quick, pivot even faster, and all the while doing so efficiently. And so our first product line was great. It did fantastic. It just wasn't where we wanted to be in terms of growth. And then from there, we were able to develop our second product line, which is our dessert cashew spreads. That quickly got the attention of retailers, including Costco. And we were at this crossroads where it felt like we were running two companies. One of our most beloved advisors and investors, Jared Smith, one of the co-founders of RX Bar, advised us to cut the protein bar line. And most founders probably would have been like, no. And we're like, okay, we did a full analysis. We ran, the numbers, and it actually made sense for us to cut that product line, focus on this dessert spread line that validated this permissible indulgence thesis that we had. And after seeing the strong growth for that, behind the scenes, we were developing these protein brownies that we did even more extensive market research on. There hadn't been anything like it in the market before, and we were the best equipped because we understood the protein snack space extremely well. We knew the permissible indulgence space extremely well. So it was this beautiful convergence where we got to apply all of our learnings from our past product line, what to do, what not to do. We got to extend our product line in a category we knew was burgeoning and growing and fast demand for more innovation. And we were able to create a product line that quickly got the attention of so many massive retailers that were so excited about this innovation because it is first to market and really to satisfy a pain point and need for consumers.
And to that point, I think we're seeing protein have such a boom across the industry right now. So to be a first mover in that way and have products that fill that consumer need is huge. And you have, I think, 10 grams of protein in the brownie, and obviously a super clean list. So you made the pivot. You now have your cashew butters and now your protein brownie as your kind of lead horses, shall we say. And then something big happened last year with Costco. So tell us a little bit about how the brownie launch went online, and then how Costco came to be, and the journey that you've really been on over the last year with this new product, because I think it's pretty impressive when you look at the timeline and how much you've managed to achieve.
Yeah, I like to joke around that it feels like a 4-year overnight success. Where people are like, wow, you just launched and immediately like started picking up this traction. I'm like, yeah, but there's a lot of lead up to get us to this point.
Sure.
So we soft launched the protein brownies in May of 2024, not even a full year ago. Within 3 hours, sold out online. So we immediately had to sprint to go produce more. We did not expect that amount of traction and excitement about it. Then we debuted it at Sweets and Snacks, which is a trade show, and met the buyers of Costco there, met a couple other amazing retail buyers that I can't share just yet. And they immediately resonated with it. They got to try it. We got to hear what they're looking for in their category. And our protein brownies perfectly hit the mark in terms of not only protein count, but fiber count. Each brownie is also 10 grams of fiber, which consumers want protein and fiber together. There's the fact that there's no sugar alcohols, no added sugars, nothing refined. It was like this baked indulgent brownie. And so it was really exciting to see the momentum for that. Within a couple months, we got a massive PO from Costco for over 1 million brownies. And we immediately sprinted production with our manufacturing partner and launched early this year, January 2025, in all 82 warehouses in the Southeast, spanning Florida, Georgia, North and South Carolina, Puerto Rico, Alabama, Mississippi, Tennessee, which is insane. It like the magnitude is insane for a product that is so new, but it really validates the product market fit, the consumer demand, and the product innovation. And getting that vote of confidence from Costco was extremely incredible. And then once we got on the shelves, after a couple of weeks of sales, our Costco buyers reached out saying, the sales growth is insane. Can we order 3 more truckloads? So we're now in production, sprinting even more brownies for Costco and preparing for some very exciting launches in other retailers.
Wow. I mean, you get to take the D2C case study to Costco, then you take the Costco case study to, I assume, other retailers. So then, you get this snowball effect, which I think is amazing. Taking it back to the D2C piece and selling out after 3 hours, what do you think contributed to that success? Was it, how many just, loyal consumers that you have kind of waiting for this? Was it social? Was it your funnel? Like, what contributed, do you think, to that quick sellout?
To how quickly we sold out. One, we had a very loyal brand following. We have built Elavi's brand name with the dessert spread. So people were so excited to see what we came up with next. And it was, because they trusted us and loved our product lines, they knew they were going to love this. And then we just got a lot of this organic word of mouth where people were posting about us on LinkedIn, including this new product innovation in newsletters. Things were snowballing very quickly. We're like, oh my God, Elavi just launched these protein brownies. This is so cool. And so then there was this kind of word of mouth snowball effect where people are so intrigued and excited by innovation like this. And at this time, also GLP-1 was starting to kind of get bigger. And you start to see, this kind of 360 approach in terms of like, we were running ads, we were teasing this out. People want like a healthier snack. And I think it kind of all coalesced together into this very exciting momentum and demand. And we sold out very quickly.
Wow. So that's, obviously D2C, and then we've discussed retail. Tell us a little bit about Amazon and what your experience has been there.
Yeah. So we've been an Amazon bestseller, #1 best choice, #1 Amazon choice, consistently across different product lines. Amazon is an interesting channel because, no one can compete with their fulfillment, like free 2-day shipping. So we use that as a channel to drive trial, to, continue retention for consumers who prefer buying from that retail partner. And it's a great way for anybody to go and research our brand. You look at the reviews, you get this unbiased analysis of the brand. So it also helps like drive the brand equity as well. And it allows us to reach consumers nationwide in a very cost efficient way. So we love having our product on Amazon. Consumers are looking for products more than ever. And when you think about it psychologically, the intent to purchase is higher on Amazon. You go to Amazon to buy. right? So it's a lot easier to convert consumers there versus when they're just scrolling on Instagram and TikTok. You kind of have to break them from their scroll to go and make a purchase. So it's a little bit harder. And so we strategically have invested, in our Amazon channels so that we can capture that, low hanging fruit in terms of customer adoption.
Totally. And I think it's fair to say you've had some traction over the last few years. Congratulations last year. I believe you were Inc. female founder in the top 250. So congratulations.
Thank
That's
you.
really amazing. And if we zoom out, how is the business doing today across, D2C versus retailer? And I'm sure you have a lot of thoughts on how it's doing today and your strategy and what your approach has been. So we'd love to hear a little bit more about that.
Yeah, 2024 was our big year in terms of expanding into Costco, launching the protein brownies. And 2025, as we look into this year and forward years, is the continuation of growth and expansion with new product line extensions, with expanding our retail distribution footprint, investing in team members, which we're really excited to do and absolutely need to invest in, and just continuing to expand and propel the growth of Elavi and what it stands for. And so we're extremely excited to be experiencing all this growth and momentum and are actively looking for partners to be a part of that next chapter of our growth. And yeah, we're just kind of, it feels like we're hitting our stride, and we don't want to take our foot off the gas pedal and continue our growth.
Speaking about team structure, how are you guys set up right now? How do you juggle it all and all the hats that a founder needs to wear? And what are some of the priority roles that you're considering?
Yeah, so my co-founder and I complement each other in a really beautiful way. She's more back of the house, operations, finance, really focused on the day-to-day of getting the product produced and to the consumer, everything that kind of goes in between that. And myself, I'm more of like the cheerleader of the brand. I manage the sales, the marketing, the partnerships, and the one brand building out there very actively in both in person and online. And so that perfect duality allows us to be in our zone of genius and to perform in where we shine the best. We also have contractors that support us in different functions from marketing to operations. We just brought on a fractional operations hire, fractional finance hire, and are actively hiring for like retail management support as we're expanding into retail. All the while, we're being very thoughtful in how we're bringing on additional hires. We have impressively built a very capital efficient lean model, and we want to continue prioritizing that efficiency, especially as we grow and scale profitably. But we know that investing in key team members are going to be critical to our growth, and we're really excited to expand that within the Elavi family.
Awesome. And if you think about you yourself and some of the reasons why you are where you are today, and you think about some of the keys to success, whether it's yourself or obviously also thinking about your co-founder too, what do you think are some of those key things that you both have that have got you to where you are today, outside of obviously your hard skills and your experience, but any of those like magic nuggets that you both have that you think have really helped?
I mean, simply we hustle. Like, I won't sugarcoat that. Like, I think there's this romanticization. Romanticization. I'm not sure if I'm saying it right.
I know what you mean.
We tend to romanticize
yes
entrepreneurs, and outside looking in, it must seem like we have all this endless time and all we do is just sit on panels and taste test and get in front of the camera. But there's so much more. And I think now that we're 5 years into our business, we are very good at that ruthless prioritization. That's what we focus on, is if something's not moving the needle significantly in the business, we say no. And I think we have gotten better and better at saying no to things that drain our time, energy, and resources, and just really having that focus, laser focus on what's important for the business. And we've stripped away, unnecessary extra things that aren't driving the bottom line. We live and breathe our P&L. We look at every single business decision of, okay, is this going to really move the business forward? And I think that laser focus is how we have been able to operate so efficiently. From a mental health perspective, my co-founder Nikki and I, we still teach fitness classes part-time. It allows us to step away and get some perspective and take some time off screens and allow ourselves to think more creatively, to, come back to the company with, a fresher idea, and also move our bodies and continue to stay healthy and prioritize and live the brand of helping people be healthier. And so that's how we think about it is, we outsource and hire out anything that we can and focus like no other on the things that really move the needle for the business.
And doing what you do with your fitness, it keeps you connected to the very consumer that started all of this, right? There's nothing like feedback from the front lines telling you what they like, what they don't. You get to try the product with them, I'm sure. So I think it's really smart. As you grow, you can actually get further and further away from the consumer.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's really smart that you keep a foot there to hear directly what they think. Something else I've noticed is you have some pretty influential advisors on board. I don't know how you got them all. I'd love to know. But I'm assuming they've really helped support the growth of Elavi, but also your presence. So whatever you're comfortable sharing in terms of who you have on board and their roles. But I think it's really powerful who you have behind you.
Yeah, I think what's really unique about Nikki and myself is that we are humble enough to know that we don't know everything. And it takes a village to build something beautiful and impressive. And it's so much smarter to surround yourself with people smarter than you and who have been there and who have the expertise that, is definitely valuable as we're building right now. And so we have, just to name a few, one of the co-founders of RX Bar on our advisory and cap table. We have one of the founders of Chomps Meat Sticks, Pete, who's incredible. One of the co-founders of Enjoy Life Foods, one of the first allergen-friendly foods. We have executives from Catalina Crunch, from Noon Hydration, a bunch of different brands, and many more. And all these advisors have been extremely instrumental in helping us really understand from the nitty gritty to like pricing architecture and channel strategy and the right times to go to market for this product in this particular area, but also more in like a larger big picture too of how to navigate difficult conversations with manufacturing partners, of how to think about building your brand, about how to think about product development, right? Great piece of advice that I received from one of our advisors is as you think about different product line extensions, you want to make sure that they're not so far different that an acquirer doesn't want to acquire all of your portfolio brands, right? So for example, if you have a protein bar line, don't come out with an energy drink line because most strategics don't want both. They want one, and that dilutes your evaluation. And so these early, amazing nuggets of wisdom are helping guide us both from a strategic high level view, but also in the day to day of how to think about our pricing architecture for natural grocery channels. And very, very grateful to have them on board. They're amazing champions of the brand. And I think they're having fun too, being able to be a part of this growth journey. We want this to be fun for our investors to see the growth and be a part of it and have a piece of it. And yeah, we're so excited to have them.
Well, congratulations. That is a influential crew you have right there. And like you say, they can help you on the bigger picture strategic piece so you can actually plan today with, I don't know, a potential end goal in mind, but also the day-to-day, which is the perfect mix. So that's incredible. Before we get on to, the future and what may come and the bigger picture, just taking it back to the category and this permissible indulgence idea, what are you seeing happen in that space right now? I mean, I don't see that many players, but I'm curious if you see something different or if there's anything that you're seeing out there in the marketplace right now.
Yeah, permissible indulgence, which is a relatively newer term, which is very exciting to kind of think about. Defining it and how we think about it is really this beautiful combination of consumers who are wanting to eat healthier and better, but also this more emotional, deeper connection to food of wanting to enjoy their food. And typically consumers have to sacrifice one for the other, either eating healthier, but usually the taste is more like cardboard, or indulging and satisfying this like emotional need, but then not feeling great physically or mentally afterwards. And so this permissible indulgence space is really hitting this fast growing demand. And you also have these other factors that are playing. You have GLP-1. that is entering the space. And consumers who are on GLP-1 medication, they are not able to eat as much food. And so protein is of the highest importance because you lose muscle when you're typically on those drugs. And so muscle preservation is a high priority. Fiber is also very much sought after by consumers right now, especially as colon cancer is on the rise amongst young people. And so not many consumers are getting enough fiber. Over 80% of consumers are trying to cut their sugar intake. And, over 85% of purchasing decisions are made by women. And so we've clearly laid out, okay, our target consumer is a woman who's shopping for herself and for her family. She's trying to cut sugar. She still wants to indulge. Women are 2.5 times likely to crave sweet snacks more. And so really innovating to the consumer is how we think about winning in this category. What are the pain points? What are the white spaces? Where has there not been innovation before? There's great entrance into the market, which I think is fantastic to just lift up the overall category and demand. And where we're standing out is that our products are shelf stable. They don't require any refrigeration. They actually don't have any meltable chocolate, which a lot of permissible indulgent products have chocolate in them. The issue is, come summertime, they melt. They require expensive cold pack shipping. You can't sell them on Amazon Prime.
Right.
And so there's all these complexities that people don't think about with like the sweet snack category that we have already innovated towards, just from past prior experience and mistakes learned. And that very much sets apart in how we think about innovation is how do we create a product that can be on the shelves and can scale and ship to hot Texas warehouses in the summertime. And that's really exciting kind of problem solving to think about as an entrepreneur. And where we get most excited is innovation, of course. And kind of just going into this kind of larger sphere of like what's next, we're openly looking. And as you mentioned, like we're in the field, we're talking to consumers. What sets us apart is we go to our Costco launches and we chat with consumers. We personally demo and sample, and we're wearing the hairnets. And people are like, you're the founders? We're like, yeah, because this is such valuable data. And this is our competitive moat that we're willing to do what most founders won't do. We'll be in the aisles. We have no shame or issue with wearing a hairnet and chatting with customers, because to us, connecting with consumers allows us to build our brand equity more, understand what they would like to see in the future. We're consistent conversations with our buyers, asking them what they would like to see. And that strong pulse cannot be replicated by these larger brands. And we're willing to do what most won't because it gets us further. And yeah, we're actively monitoring and looking at a couple different trends and exploring that with our in-house food scientist team to see down the line if we want to roll out different product line extensions that ultimately meet consumer demand and solve problems.
There's so much going on. I think on the category side, I think that it's really, really smart that not only do you have a product that is meeting people's needs, and I always agree with you, actually, then people can get a little scared that people are coming into the category, but you want a big category. Like that's healthy. That's more share to steal. So I agree with you there. It's, I think, the shelf stable point, and it not only working for the consumer, but for the manufacturer, the distributor, the retail. Like if you're FBA on Amazon, you got to have a product that can be shipped year round, right? Otherwise you're going to take a hit. So I think that's really, really smart that you figured that out, and now you have a product that works on all angles. The GLP-1 thing I hadn't thought about. That's a really interesting angle, actually, and I think that's an area that's only going to continue to grow and with more solutions needed. So that's really, really smart. In terms of the bigger picture and what the future looks like for Elavi, it sounds like you have a lot cooking. Tell us a little bit more about your goals for the year, and it sounds like you've got momentum even from January rolling right in. So how has Q1 been? What's happening the rest of the year? It sounds like you've got some, I guess cooking's the right word. You've got some portfolio innovation potentially coming. So anything you can share there would be, I think, very cool to hear.
Yeah, Q1 has been a whirlwind in the best way. To launch in Costco and one of your dream retailers, perform exceptionally well, get a reorder, and have even more retail growth in the pipeline is a dream for any brand founder in this space. And we have additional product line SKUs in pipeline that we're so excited to launch. It feels like we've been sitting on this for months, and to be able to finally share it and bring it out into the world is extremely exciting. And we have a couple more surprises that I can't share just yet in terms of distribution and innovation. But yeah, it's a very exciting time. We're just getting started, and honestly, we hit our stride even more in the springtime. So really looking forward to what.
Well, it sounds like 2025 is going to be an even bigger year than 2024. So cannot wait to continue following your journey, trying more delicious products that we all need. So just a huge thank you from myself and from Kyle for joining us here today and for sharing so much with us. And yeah, here's to a great 2025 and beyond for Elavi. Thanks, Michelle.
Thank you so much.